right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Deal Room. My name is Gabe Bowling. In today's episode, I have an incredible guest speaker, RyanMayaa. You guys are going to learn a lot about him. He's not your traditional guest that we have on here that's going out and buying multifamily deals. He's actually my best friend and one of the ex-Cardone Capital Mafia members alongside of me. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to get into it.
I am really excited to do this because we just like to see growth on both sides, you know?
Yeah, it's a completely different script. You're doing business and e-com and making a bunch of money selling fishing line and pickleball paddles. We'll get into it. I'm doing the real estate thing, but we all started at the same spot, which is Cardone Capital. So why don't we get started with just introducing yourself? I think a lot of people don't know who you are right this second, but they should know who you are because you're kicking ass in life and making a bunch of money at a very young age. Why don't you just introduce yourself and catch everybody up to speed with who you are today?
Yeah, so I'm 27, live in South Florida. I own two e-commerce brands, sporting good brands. One is called Beyond Braid, which is fishing equipment. One is called Professor Pickleball. Trailing 12 months, we've done $8.5 million in revenue, trying to do $10 million to close out the year. Brand's 5 years old, started it while I was working for, or actually before Grant Cardone, but it kind of just evolved while I was there. Eventually decided to take the leap of faith and said, hey, let's see if we can go make some real money. Did. It's been working, knock on wood, so far a little bit. We made a little bit of money. And then the long-term vision is own assets, buy real estate, have that pay for the lifestyle and build wealth that way. I've realized coming up, it's really hard to do both. Yes, you can. Like there's anomalies like Grant who built a business and bought real estate at the same time. Very, very, very rare to do both. I realized the fastest way to make the most amount of money is probably to do it through my business, make a lot of money. And alongside, while I'm making money, invest with guys like you who have access to deals and who are in it full time, let that money go to work, and then eventually sell my companies and then go buy more deals. But yeah, I like cars. I like sports, businesses, I guess, I have two of them. I like making money. I like real estate. And I make a lot of videos, stuff like this, right? Content is what has made me the most money and what I push a lot of people to do. Like I pushed your ass to make some videos and do podcasts and stuff. And you've been one of the few people who I actually have, like, a lot of people ask me for advice and I never do anything. All the times I think, or most of the times you've asked me for advice, you like 9 times out of 10, like go and implement it. And I think that's why you've had success is like you actually listen and then go do shit, which is amazing.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. So that's awesome that you're here. Congratulations on your success. Let's back it up. Did you grow up super wealthy and you're used to having all this money, or like where did you grow up from? What was the childhood? I know you played a lot of baseball. Why don't you just walk everybody through your story?
So middle-class family, middle-class Jewish family, Cuban Jewish family. When I was younger, my dad had his own business. I would say did very well, still in the upper middle class area. Like I knew growing up some very, very rich friends, and my brother had some like very, very rich friends, like billionaires. So we saw that lifestyle. But we were always kind of like, I guess, the poor family out of them, but we were like very comfortable middle class. My dad had a successful clothing business. 08, 09, his business kind of collapsed on itself. And a lot of things changed. And that was probably when I was like 9 or 10 years old. So we went from BMWs to Toyotas, private school to public school. But still, like my parents provided every single thing I could ever ask for. So nothing, like, by no means were we broke. We were just average middle class. But like that, sometimes I feel like nowadays I see that as being worse than broke because you're stuck in like this cycle. But that's another story. But yeah, my dad had his own business. That inspired me to be an entrepreneur. I sold candy in middle school, sold iPhones in high school and college, and then started my e-commerce business in college. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have like a rich uncle. I would say learning from my family in some ways held me back because you see your family and like you can only go as far as they can if you listen to that mentality or mindset that they have. right? So I had to look beyond that. And that's what like I loved working for Grant for. And I think was the biggest thing I took away was just the ability to expand our mindsets and think way bigger. But again, like my parents gave me everything, like anything I could have ever had, they have given me. So that was amazing. But again, to go to the next level, it's like you kind of have to separate yourself from that and take the responsibility within yourself. Say, hey, look, I want more out of life than just a middle class family, like go to work 9 to 5, pay the bills, nice house, whatever, right? We want more than that. We want time freedom. We want financial freedom. We want 10 cool cars, you know, and working for Grant gave us that unlimited mindset that we could have whatever we want. So that was a really pivotal point in life, was like, that was right after college, was getting exposed to that. So I realized, hey, I don't want to be middle class. I want to do more than that. And knock on wood, I feel like we're kind of on the right path. So we just got to keep going.
You played a lot of baseball, right? You went to college, played with some. How important was playing sports and like the leadership and being able to be on a team and all the stuff that you do in baseball? How important was that in later years, like running a business and running a team?
Yeah, I mean, the team is like, sports teaches you a lot of basic life skills that are super important that I feel like non-athlete people don't have, like showing up early, team responsibilities, knowing how to work on a team, communication. Like you get those basic skills from sports without even realizing it. And when you go into the business world, you're so far ahead of people who haven't done that without even realizing it. So I played baseball up until college. Basically, my junior and senior year in college, I was a pitcher, is when my business I started making like some real money. I think one month I did like 60,000 in sales my junior year, and I did 11,000 in profit. And I was just like, I just made more than like my college coaches. Like that's insane, right? And I did really well those 2 years. There was a potential chance of maybe going to the next level and signing a professional contract, like maybe, right? And I just knew like the gap between where I was to get to the actual major leagues where you would make money was, there was no chance. So I was just real with myself. And I said, hey, like we had a good run, paid for college, have no student loans, no debt. I actually made $5,000 my senior year in college. And that's it. Hung it up. I was like, I want to go make money and start learning business or grow my business that I was running. And that was the decision I made. And I think a lot of student athletes should like do that analysis with themselves and know when to hang it up. Because I know guys who play baseball into their like mid 30s or their low 30s, and they just not wasted, but like you could have probably done something else for those 10 years to get ahead in life. So it's just a reality check. I get it. Love for the game. You only have one opportunity, but sometimes you just got to be real with yourself and be like, all right, we're done with this. Let's go on to the real world and make some real money, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Before we go into the transition into working at Grants, when I first got to know you, you showed me your little paper book of like your net worth and how much cash you had and all that fun stuff. I think it's extremely important for everybody listening because it's probably not normal for them to be so good with their money and like saving it and tracking it. Can you walk us through? Is that something that you learned through your family, or is it like something you just found on YouTube? And maybe go into a little bit more context on what we're actually talking about.
Yeah. So like here, I'll pull it out for everyone to see, right? So this is a Jewish symbol for good luck. So I am Jewish. The stereotype of Jews being good with money is not a stereotype because it's just the truth, right? I don't know why our religion just, we grow up talking about money. We know how to make money. Like, I don't know what it is. It's not a stereotype. It's like, it's the truth. So I don't know what the infatuation was from a little kid, like giving my dad a back massage when I was like 8 years old, or washing the car and I would get $10 and stick it in my little thing, right? That's what I was obsessed with. And even selling candy for cash, etc. So like I've always paid really close attention to money, even through high school, right? I had bought this little toy safe that I still have right now. I always keep cash in there with Stack the Cash, and I would just watch it. And then in college, when I started making like a few $1,000s a month, I started tracking my net worth, tracking my assets, what money I had in what accounts, etc. And I still like, before I would, or back in the day in college, I did it month over month. Now I do it every few months, but it's just crazy to see the growth. There was some down months there when you make an investment or you do something, but yeah, you have to pay attention to the money and like check that shit I check my bank accounts probably twice a day, which is twice or three times a day, which might be excessive, but you need to be checking it at least once a day just to like see what you have coming in and going out. And I feel like so many people don't even do that. They ignore it. Like they're scared to look at it, where it's like, if you want the money to grow, you have to check it every day. What's coming in, what's going out, what's going left, what's going right. And I think it's just a skill that I think I'm blessed to have, is paying attention to the money and what the money's doing. I encourage so many people to do that, because so many people are scared to like really look at their finances and what is happening. And I'm not perfect. Like there's still things in my businesses and personal life that I can get better at, but I feel like I have a really good understanding of what I want to do with my money and where it's going. Like me and Gabe were having this conversation yesterday. Like I want to buy an expensive car. I don't know if I should. I don't know if I shouldn't. I love cars. It's expensive. It's $2,000 a month, whatever. But at least I'm checking every day and checking in on it and giving myself insight to make these decisions, whether it's the right decision. So
Yeah, love that. I think it's really important, because I'm willing to bet most people that are listening to this episode right now, if they had to be honest with themselves, the last time they checked the last time they checked their account was probably a week, maybe a month, whenever rent's due or whatever they're trying to pay for. But
yeah, you got to check that shit daily, man.
let's transition into Cardone Capital. Is it, I'm looking for a job, let's go work for this random guy? Did you know him? What was the process there?
I just finished my baseball season. I was sitting in my college apartment with like a month left on the lease. I was like, all right, it's time for real life. I had purchased Grant's book through a funnel that I got on a Facebook ad saying invest in real estate. And I read it on our last college road trip. And I got really intrigued by the How to Create Wealth Investing in Real Estate book. And I saw his book was on my coffee table. I had just purchased a course to become a real estate agent. I looked at it for like an hour and was like, this is not for me. Then I saw that and I was like, all right, I think their offices are in Florida or South Florida. Looked up his website, saw that he had some job openings. One was for sales, customer service, and investor relations. I thought sales was like sleazy, gimmicky. I didn't know about sales. Big mistake there. I could have maybe made $1 million there. True story. Customer service I didn't want to do. And then investor relations was in the real estate division. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's try that. Long story short, I completely bullshitted my way in the door. And when I say bullshitted, I mean, like I presented myself well as a young hard worker, which in hindsight now, that's literally what they look for, because they have really good training tools to take young hard workers like myself or whoever else walks in the door hungry and can fit them into a mold that they're looking for. So I got, you could say I got lucky, got the job, and yeah, just started making calls, started learning about I literally had no idea about real estate or the job. Like my first day on the job, I remember I was put on the task of responding to emails of the general inbox. And I didn't even know how to use Gmail, where like Grant and the COO was forwarding emails they were getting. And I was just replying back to them, not knowing what I was doing. And then someone came in, they're like, yo, you're not doing this right. So it's, again, another just like quick little lesson. Sometimes people overthink things, just jump into things and like learn trial by fire is the best way to do it. And then fast forward, right? I took that job pretty serious. Like it was what I was thinking I was going to do. I became the top capital raiser there. And I had sold my e-commerce business while working there, got it back. It was a little kind of wonky, but for a while there, I was very serious and thought I can grow my career there. But then kind of realized like, hey, I think I might want to go another direction and be my own boss. Again, we're like 21 years old. We're like we're kids. We don't know what we want until you start getting some of these experiences like we got. So it was great. Working there was great. We learned a shit ton. I know that's where you and I met and met a bunch of cool people, learned a bunch of crazy shit. And we're taking those skills that we learned and applying them in our own businesses now, which is like, I think all you can ask for is learn, apply, and grow.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good, a lot of people want to like skip the hard work and, get the entrepreneur. I want to be my own boss, make all the money right this second. But I think working there you were there for 3 years or something, 3 years?
2 years, 2 years on the dot. I was working when I was running my businesses and my business on the side and trying to grow it. it was wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym till 6, work on the business from 6 to 7:30, leave at 7:45, or no, sorry, leave at like 7:15, drive 45 minutes to work, get to work at 8, role play for 20 minutes, study, do the other shit that we had to do, meetings, blah, 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 on the phone all day, break at 1, or lunch break at 12, work on the business from 12 to 1, come home at 6, 7, 8 o'clock, eat for like 30 minutes, work on the business for like 3 hours. And I did that every day, probably for like a year and a half, which it got to the point where I was so mentally exhausted. Like I literally got to a breaking point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And it was quit, or like I couldn't sell my business or quit the business, because the business at that point was doing like $1.5 million in revenue in like 6 months. And that is what told me just go for it. Like you could always go get another job. But yeah, it was like 2 years of just like brutal work, like really, really hard working days.
But how important do you think, like that 2 years, I call it the sacrifice years, or the years in the trenches, how important do you think that was correlating to the success that you have today? Like going in, building the business that you're building, making the decisions to grow it to $20 million a year. Do you think that you would have been able to even think that big or make those types of decisions without being on the inside of an organization like that? Because a lot of people don't want to go work a 9 to 5 or a nine, whatever they call it, the 9 to 5, and they want to be their own boss. But we did that. We both did that, and we pretty much got our like MBA in life, business, money, real estate, and a bunch of stuff, and it's correlated into a lot of success on the after the fact. Do you think that was pretty important for you?
The reality is most of the time you have to endure like a good amount of painful years before you get to like chill out a little. And right, there's seasons in business where sometimes you're going to be working really hard. Sometimes you could take a little bit of more time. Like I went from working super hard, then it got a little bit easier, then worked super hard, then hired some people, got a little bit easier. Then it's like, all right, now we want to go to the next level. It's going to be another ramp up of working. But yeah, a lot of people think you start a business or you start a YouTube channel or you start making content, it's going to happen overnight. Like I literally was just talking to my buddy, helping him with content for his business. I'm like, you need to make a YouTube video once a week for like the rest of your life, or for the rest of the time you have this business, whether that's 10 years. Like it's not, you're going to make 4 YouTube videos and you're going to be rich. Like it's like something you have to do every single day. And, like people just sometimes don't realize the amount of actual work it takes to make something work. Sometimes people get lucky and do have success with minimal amounts of work, but most of the time it takes a shitload of work and hours and trial and error to get something to remotely work. Like I'm lucky. The reason I feel like, yes, there's skills that I've had and developed in my business and things I've done right, but I feel like every business has some sort of luck aspect to it. So like I'm lucky, but the more you work and the more hours you put in, the bigger or more opportunities you give yourself to become lucky and get lucky. Like you, right? You've taken a bunch of risks and tried a bunch of different things, giving you a better chance to be lucky that one of them works. You know, and I think that's just business in general. It's just, you have to try a bunch of shit. I always say this, try a bunch of shit and see what works best for you or what even works in general. And then you just kind of double down and go down that path.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for that. All right, so getting out of Cardone Capital, you learn real estate to a degree, and you learn the wealth formula. And I want to kind of, because there's going to be investors that are trying to go down the active route. They're going to be like, okay, well, I don't have a business that makes $8.5 million. But there are investors that will listen to this, and they're in a very similar position where they either make a decent amount of money, they have a business, or they're a W-2 employee, they love what they do, and they make good money, and they're just looking to be the investor. Can you break down the wealth formula in your eyes and how you're going to be using it with your main vehicle and then investing with me, investing in other people's deals? How does that work for you, for the investor side of it?
Yeah, I mean, again, as I alluded earlier, it's very hard to run a business, make a lot of money, or work for, or have a high income job, make a lot of money, and do real estate at the same time, because they both pull you in two directions. If you are a business owner and you make, and this is something that at Cardone Capital, right, I saw so many people investing so much money. I was like, why don't they just go do deals themselves? They'll make more money. Because most of the time, if you do a deal by yourself the right way, you could make more money, right? You keep 100% of the profits instead of a profit split. But the odds of one, you finding a deal, knowing the brokers, you being able to underwrite the deal, do the debt, get the insurance, like the odds of you doing a deal correctly at that size, it's like nearly impossible to actually do and have the bandwidth to still make money in your other job. So I not quickly, it's actually taken me a while to realize that like I need to focus on making more money in my business where I can make hopefully multiple 7 and 8 figures in my business. And then you invest that money with someone like Gabe or whoever else you want to invest with, but Gabe has good deals. Yes, I am endorsing Gabe. I am biased. But like you invest with someone like with him or whoever else that is in the deal flow every day and is talking to the brokers, the debt quotes, the insurance guys, because they have their pulse on the market. Like I don't. Like you have to pay attention to this shit, just like the stock market. You have to pay attention to the market if you're going to be investing in it. Gabe's laughing because like I just sold all my stocks and stocks are an absolute fucking nightmare. But like if you want to actually make money in investing, like you have to have your finger and your pulse on that shit. And I realized as a high income earner myself, I like to think it's just better to put your money with someone who's doing it full time. They'll take better care of it than you will. And you have peace of mind and can focus on your business. So again, back to seeing all these people investing with Grant, I now realize why they invested with Grant. It's because they wanted to stick at what they were good at, being doctors, lawyers, business owners, because they make way more money there, and just let Grant and team do the work because they are industry experts and they're in the deals every day and they're still going to get good returns and make good money. So like at the end of the day, you got to pick your poison. But I think the wealth formula for me is make a lot of money in my business, invest in real estate along the way. If I sell my business one day and make multi 7, 8 figures, great. You take more of that money, invest it into real estate and make more passive income to buy all the fancy shit like cars, boats, houses, and watches and vacations.
What would you say some of the most important things that you learned from working at Grants that you still apply today? Maybe it's like principles with your own money, principles about staff or decisions that you make. What are like the big takeaways?
Attention is currency, right? So no matter what industry you're in, if you have the most attention, you will likely make the most money. And just be loud and repetitive with your marketing. I think it's a lot of the marketing principles. And then again, it's some of the mindset stuff like, dude, you can go as big as you want, as long as you have to have that bigger think and you just can't limit yourself. Like if someone like Grant seriously can grow that big, he makes you truly feel like anyone can do it, right? So I think that's just something I try to remind myself constantly of is like, dude, we can grow this thing as big as we want. Like there's no, like I could become a billionaire. I have, and Gabe points this out to me all the time that I have flaws of not planning and having a clear path, which I'm working on. But I could easily become a billionaire. Anyone watching this could become a billionaire. There's no limit. You just obviously have to put a plan in place and pick the right vehicle. And that vehicle is going to be for whatever is best for you. But yeah, I think attention and mindset stuff is probably the stuff I still use from Grant every day.
Very cool. All right, let's move into mentorship because it's a little bit different. People will join the deal room community to learn and get trained and then go out and do deals or maybe get deal flow from as an investor. For you, how important is mentorship and getting around other people that have already done what it is that you want to do in your everyday business? Because it applies to everything, whether it's the deal room and deals or what you're doing.
So I'm going to use my girlfriend Denver, which Gabe knows very well, as an example for this. And I'll use myself. I was very reluctant to invest in mentorship because, again, I might be frugal, might be cheap, might think I can just do it myself. I've had that mentality for a really long time, and it's probably helped and hurt me in certain ways. Last year, I made my first investment into mentorship for Amazon FBA because while I was making 7 figures on Amazon, I really didn't know the landscape that well. So I found a group. They're like, it's 10 grand a month, 10 grand a year to be a part of the group. And I was like, I want to, if I'm going to plan to take an e-commerce business to $100 million a year, I probably should get a better understanding and foundation of this. Since joining that group for 10 grand, my business has, I think like we're up 150% year over year. So did it pay off? I would say so. My girlfriend, as an example, she invested $20,000, which is almost all the money to her name, in a sales program, betting on herself and taking that education that she was going to go make more money, because she wanted to shrink the time it was going to take to learn this stuff. And she just invested another $3,000 in another coaching mentorship that's going to, again, compress the time. And then we spent $1,000 on another coaching call with someone in her industry. Long story short, we spent all that money. A couple of things clicked for her. She made $15,000 in 1 month from going like 0, 0, 0, $100, couple $100, and then made $15,000 in 1 month. And like, she's just so good at compressing the time and willing to invest. And I'm learning that from her. So like, every day it makes more and more sense to me that just pay people who've done exactly what you want to do, and it'll shorten your time, because time is like truly the only valuable currency we have. So if you can shorten the time that it takes for you to learn something or do something, just pay to do it, especially if you have the means to do it. Just pay to play. That's it.
Yeah, you either pay with time or pay with money. And something I want to point out is the two different examples. You're in a different spot in your business where you haven't because there's a lot of people that, like, they see the business owner that does $1 million a year, joined a program, and then now they're doing $1.5 million or $2 million. And it's like, okay, well, that's a lot easier to make that decision internally to like let go of 10 grand to then get another $1 million in the business. Like, people can make that decision. But then Denver, completely different spot, brand new to business, doesn't have like almost all of her money. That's a really big decision. What was the process? Because I know for a fact you were involved in that decision-making process too. How did you guys get comfortable enough letting go of almost all of the money and be willing to bet on yourself? Because that's like the biggest and most uncomfortable thing people will run into.
So she went to this conference, it's some sales girl, they call themselves the sales girls. She went to this event where they upsold their program, which was $20,000. She calls me and she says, hey, I think I'm going to buy this. I don't know. What do you think I should do? And to me, being completely honest, I thought she was completely batshit crazy. I was like, you're going to spend all your money? Like, you're nuts. Like, you're gullible, you're nuts, they're selling you. Like, I can't believe you. But then when I really thought about it, right,
that's our ex Cardone Mafia, little blood in us, you know?
Look, if she doesn't do it, right, if she doesn't pay the $20,000 to learn the sales skills that she truly felt she was lacking, what happens, right? I could still train her. I can show her some Grant Cardone videos, and who knows how long that will take for her to actually learn the material and start making sales. Or she spends the 20 and then she keeps $20,000, which if you have $20,000 to your name in like your late 70s or your late 20s, you're broke, you're flat broke. Or if she invested the $20,000, worst case scenario, she invests $20,000, doesn't learn a single thing, she has no money, she's still broke. Like, that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario is you invest the $20,000, you actually learn a shit ton, you make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, and it was worth every single penny, right? So, and we just kind of did that analysis where we're like, if you don't do it, you're going to be in the same position, which at that point she felt very, very stuck in her business and it was very frustrating. And we were like, if you do it, it could pay off and you could actually really learn sales and really make some money. And then we kind of just like looked at each other on FaceTime and we're just like, fucking do it. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen is you lose $20,000. $20,000 is no money. Yes, $20,000 is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things of where we want to go with our lives, $20,000 is no money. So we just said, go do it. And it's drastically paid off because she's developed as a person, she's developed sales skills, she's developed leadership skills, all from that one investment. So like, you have to invest in yourself. That's the biggest asset you have.
Yeah, I tell people this. I'll do two things. So, number one, can anybody take a skill set away from you?
No, right? Because once you learn something, it's in your own head. So
it's like nothing. It doesn't matter where you're at. You could go broke. You have a lot of money. You develop the skill set, and that's invaluable if you apply it. Number two, you've seen this, and the reason that we even made this investment was because of you. In our business, we invested a whole lot of money and forward future-looking money to a partner that came in, and it completely compressed the timeline. What would have taken us, I don't know, 4 or 5 years and a whole lot more money than what we invested through mistakes and learning mistakes, we've compressed down into a 6-month timeline. And now we're on track to do a whole lot more.
And that's like a skill to do, like to have the guts and knowledge and feel to invest in these things that'll make you better. I'm sure there's a lot of things out there that like I get pitched things all the time, courses, people, and like I say no to like 95% of them. And that's just me being skeptical. I think they're like, to a certain extent, if you say yes to too many things, you really have to vet who you're investing with, because some people will give you more value than others, in terms of education, partnerships, etc. Whether they're too big, too small, don't have enough time to put into you. So you do have to be careful, do your due diligence. But it's a skill that I'm trying to get better at, is investing my money in things that will buy me my time back, help me with education to further grow my businesses. It's a tough skill to learn. And I look at I look at you, I look at Denver, people around me who are doing these things, and it helps me think like, okay, how can I further invest or find a mentor or pay someone to help me? Because I know it'll like 9 times or 10 times out of 10, when you invest in your education, like there's only positive things that come out of it. It's very, very rarely do you get negative consequences from investing in yourself, you know?
Yeah. Cool. All right, so let's move back into a little bit real estate, then we'll wrap it up. So for you as the investor, let's go through the deal. Like, as an investor, what do you look for, number one? And are you open to, like, there's people listening to this, you're an investor. Would you be open to investing in other people's deals? And then number two, what defines a good deal for you? Like, what are you looking for?
I mean, at this point, dude, I've had a lot of opportunities to invest in a lot of deals. To me, it's just trust. Number one thing is trust. I invested 100 grand in one of Gabe's deals, and I really didn't even look at the deal. Like, I barely looked at the deal. I don't even think I looked at the numbers one time. I said, yo, is this a good, I literally asked Gabe, is this a good deal? Should I do it? It took a little bit of convincing to just get over the hump of actually just parting with the money. Because that's just how I am as a person, right? I literally just told you I'm getting better at investing. But now looking back, I literally told Gabe last week, I'm like, shit, I wish I would have put like 250 or 300 in that deal, you know? So it's just trusting the person who's operating the deal, making sure they have a clear vision for clear vision and exit plan for the deal. Location it's got to be a sick location. If you're in Florida, there's very few locations that aren't really good locations. And right, you have to have basic return parameters. I think minimum, right, 1.8 to like 2x over like 3 to 5 years is probably a good threshold. And then if the deal cash flow is great, everyone loves cash flow. Monthly distributions is, I think, the greatest thing you can do as a syndicator if you're watching, because people love to get paid monthly.
That's why I'm asking this question, just so you know, to give you context. There's a lot of people that will listen, and the investors will listen and be like, okay, I should probably do that as well. But the main profile of this is going to be the operator. One, there are investors everywhere. There are probably investors in your phone that you don't even know. You have to ask, and you have to be willing to have these conversations with them. But get the information. Like, what does the investor look for out of investment opportunity? And the first thing Ryan said was trust. Like, I don't even, like, the deal's great, but if I don't trust you, I'm not even going to look at it. That was really important.
Yeah, and the fact that the syndicator or the person bringing the deal has skin in the game always makes me feel better, because right, they're putting up their money as well. If they're just trying to, there's people in this industry that they need to do these deals to make money, and I would like watch out for those people. Someone like Gabe, right? Gabe has his education business, which is where he's going to make most of his money, and then obviously he's investing in deals, one, to grow his portfolio, grow his name, and that's like the end game for both of us, is to invest in real estate. I know a bunch of other people that are just purely syndicators and need to make their money through management fees, through aggressive splits, and those are the people I would be weary of. So if you have a person who's giving you a reasonable split, they're putting money in the deal, and you just trust them, and the deal looks good, it's in a good location, there's like, it's, at the end of the day, the biggest thing is trust. Like, if you say, would I invest with them because they're putting their own money and I trust them, then you should do the deal. Like, it's the decision should be that simple, you know?
Cool. Let's wrap it up with, whether it's real estate or the listener that's just trying to get into, create wealth for themselves, make more money, have more freedom, do better, do more with their life. What would you say the best piece of advice you could pass on? Say it's the 20, the 22, the 25, the 30-year-old that's really trying to create something out of their life. What's something you find yourself telling everybody? I know content's going to be one of them, but what else?
Yeah, so making videos and putting whatever business or line business you're in, putting it on video, I'll touch on that in a second. But I think it's, if you're young and you don't know what you want to do, is just to try a bunch of different things in a bunch of different verticals and see what sticks. Like Gabe, for example, when we were working for Grant, he saw me having some success with e-commerce. Gabe tried e-commerce and miserably fucking failed. Gabe realized e-commerce is not for me. It's something he tried, he put it on his belt, and then he moved on to the next one, right? So I think, and he tried a few other things there and just realized, like, I don't even, like, we didn't have success. I don't like this business model. It's just not for me, right? So people are scared to try things and fail, either because they're going to be judged by friends or family. Like I had another friend, for example, he's trying to grow his TikTok with his music and, right, content. He's doing the content thing. And he literally texted his brother, who's my friend, and said, it's embarrassing trying this and only getting 60 views. He's like, I want to stop. But like, who the fuck cares? Why is it like, you just have to stop caring what people think and just keep innovating. This is the message I told him, like, dude, yes, you're getting 60 views, but one, you never know, that next TikTok you post can literally get 50 million fucking views. Your song goes viral and your life literally changes forever. It's that easy nowadays. So I just told him, like, stop giving a fuck. Just keep posting it. Keep posting. Try different angles, right? Try different things. He plays golf. I'm like, you should sing your song and play golf at the same time. It's random, but it's a different angle. So it's just trying a bunch of different things and seeing what sticks. That's what I do every day in my businesses, is like, we try different creatives, different product images. Everything is A/B testing to figure out what works best. And then you roll with what works best. So try a bunch of shit, see what works best for you, double down on that. And then yes, content is huge. Whatever you decide to double down on, every business nowadays can use some sort of video attention through TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is, ideally all platforms, and just put your content out there, put your services, your business, your education, your products out there and promote it on video. And just don't care, like, you're going to suck at first, but it's okay. You're going to get better. Gabe's first videos were absolutely horrendous and we literally laugh at them. So were mine. I laugh at them. Like, it's just the reality. You're going to suck at first, but eventually you get really good. You do podcasts like this. You have people come out to Tampa in a huge room full of 100 people because you started making videos online and started reaching more people. That's what Gabe did, right? So you just got to start trying shit and make a bunch of videos once you figure out what you want to do.
And don't quit.
Yeah. If you don't quit, you can't fail.
Yeah, that's a good one. You saw that on Instagram. All right, last thing. We'll look back at this 5 years from now, and this is a little bit different on how I'll end every one of them. I think you're a little bit different because you have a lot more context to what we're doing. Everything you know about us, me and Alicia, and the business that we have today, what our big mission is, what advice would you give us over the next, like, 5 years? Are we doing the right thing, or are we thinking too small? Something that we can look back on 5 years from now and be like, damn, I'm really happy he said that.
My honest answer is I'm like a little bit jealous of you guys because you have a much clearer, bigger vision than I do on how to get to $1 billion, which is, again, I want to figure out how to do that to myself and for myself. And I see that you guys have more or less a clear vision on how to get there. I don't know, dude. You guys are in the right vehicle. You guys are good people. You building fucking crazy businesses. Like, I don't know if I have advice to give you. I'm just kind of like, I want to see how I can hop on that bandwagon. It's like, do I sell my businesses and join Gabe? I don't know, but I don't know, man. I think both of us are going really big places.
How important do you think it is to have a good fucking friend in your life? Somebody that you can just FaceTime at any given second. You can be like, hey man, this is what's going on. Give me the real shit.
I'm trying to find more of that, right? Because me and Gabe do that all the time where we just call each other and we'll talk on the phone for like an hour on what's going on in our business, what's going on in his business, how do we troubleshoot it? And it sucks that we can only do it through FaceTime. We're only 5 hours away from each other. I told Gabe he needs to make more money so he can move to Fort Lauderdale because South Florida is expensive. But yeah, you gotta like that whole, your network is your net worth is like, it's so cliche, but it's so true. Like, if you find a group of people that, like, for example, I told Gabe this story. I went to a coffee shop yesterday There was a guy who owned like 30 car dealerships, another guy who pulled up in a Rolls Royce, and the other guy was wearing a $100,000 Rolex Daytona. Like that little circle, those are power players. I'm sure they're all sharing ideas of what they're doing. So like just having friends that are in the same mindset as you and doing things in business and life and progressing, not just doing the same shit they did from high school. Like you got to find more of those people. And I like, it's so cliche. You hear all the time, but it's like, it's the absolute truth. You just got to get around winners. And sometimes you got to pay to get around winners, which is okay.
All right. So I forgot that I didn't even mention this. Where do people find you, or where can people buy pickleball paddles or braided fishing line? Where do people find you?
The website for fishing equipment is beyondbraid.com, or go to Amazon, buy something and leave a review for me. That always helps. ProfessorPaddles.com. The brand is Professor Pickleball. Or if you just DM me on Instagram, I'll give you some shit for free. Like, take me up on that, please. My Instagram is ryanmayaa, and my YouTube is ryanmayaa. I talk about e-commerce business and all that kind of stuff. More on YouTube. So
look up Ryan Maya everywhere on social media. You'll find him. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another episode. I'll see you on the next one.